Go ahead, Mr. Isaac. You are recognized for your statement.
Thank you, Senator Inhofe. Thank you, Chairman Markey and members of the committee. I'm Jason Isaac, Director of the Life Powered Project at the Texas Public Policy Foundation, a national initiative to raise America's energy IQ. During the 8 years that I served in the Texas House of Representatives, I served on the Environmental Regulation, Energy Resources, and Economic Development Committees. I was successful at passing legislation to further Texas environmental leadership while promoting economic prosperity, two things that go hand in hand. The idea of a federal climate bank has been proposed for years, and the market has responded. Wall Street and global financial firms and the Climate Action 100 Plus are colluding to force companies they invest in to divest from fossil fuels, denying financing and investment unless those energy businesses kowtow to arbitrary and expensive emission reductions, and to prop up these financial institutions' massive investment in green energy that without government subsidies would otherwise fail. In reality, there already is a climate bank. This climate cartel will prove a disaster for our entire economy. Restricting financing to energy producers based on political whims kill good-paying jobs, increase our cost of living, and reduces the capital available to invest in the energy technologies of the future. The less energy the United States is free to produce, the more we and our allies are forced to rely on hostile, unstable nations with lax environmental and labor standards. This is harmful not just for energy businesses, but also for each and every American. We recently spoke with Mike Dunleavy, governor of Alaska, whose state is having to invest its own money to develop new Arctic oil and gas reserves because the major banks will not invest there. In Texas, we've heard from numerous energy producers that they are struggling to sustain and grow their businesses because of banks refusing to finance them. The level of collusion occurring within this energy discrimination movement makes a free and competitive market nearly impossible, and the government should certainly not engage in the same kind of bully tactics. Contrary to the narrative that our environment is bad and getting worse, and that it is all our fault, America is a world leader in environmental protection. We are the only highly populated nation to meet the World Health Organization standards for safe air, and we have cut emissions of criteria pollutants by 77% in the last 50 years. I've mentioned to some of your colleagues that of all the technology the Chinese steal from us, it would be nice if they would utilize our pollution control technology. In Southern California, ozone levels are 65% higher due to Asian air pollution that makes its way across the Pacific. And when it comes to climate change, the news is good. The science suggests that climate will remain mild and manageable. You and I and everyone in this room are 99% less likely to die in a climate-related disaster than our grandparents were. Improved technology and reduced poverty, both of which fossil fuels provide, affect our adaptability far more than carbon dioxide emissions. Eliminating U.S. fossil fuel consumption completely by 2030, doubling President Biden's proposal, would reduce global average temperatures by less than 0.2 of a degree at the end of the century. Instead of fixating on carbon dioxide emissions, the federal government should be focused on solving the real problems facing people here and now. If ever there was a crisis, it's global poverty. America and our vast energy resources, produced more responsibly than anywhere else on Earth, hold the key to ending poverty as we know it. The recent blackouts in Texas that resulted in at least 111 deaths should be a dire warning against even more market-distorting policies. The market responded to those subsidies accordingly. Installation of wind and solar-generated electricity, unreliable variable forms of generation have increased more than 200% in the last 10 years, while reliable thermal generation has declined nearly 5%. Now the installed generation of the ERCOT Texas grid is 33% unreliable variable generation. On the day of the blackouts, wind and solar provided just 8% of our electricity on the grid, while fossil fuels and nuclear provided 91% of our reliable electricity. I urge the committee not to proceed with any further consideration of a climate bank and instead focus on proposals that protect the American people's tax dollars. Thank you for your time.